It was this time last year that I first started mountain biking, and it was here, the Gap in Dublin, Ireland, that gave me my first taste of what riding could be. It's been a long journey, one full of falls and fails, learning and effort. Were things different on my third trip back here? Absolutely. You know, it's funny when you think about it. The last time I was here was February, which was 6 months ago. And I've only been riding a year. So that's half my time riding. And honestly, I look back at footage from February and I feel slow. And I compared my February to how it felt in August last year, and there's no comparison. Coming back to the same track, it really gives you a sense of completion and a sense of evolution of your abilities as a rider. This place though, it is so much fun. The blue trails felt more simple to me, they felt easier to go fast on. The red trails, I actually had a lot more success with those and a lot more reward from completing those trails. Features I'd found difficult last time suddenly became more manageable, and techniques I didn't realise I'd developed came through. This trail is called Tickety Boo, which is one of my absolute favourites here at the Gap. It's fast, flowing, and an absolute blast to ride. In February, I was really nervous about braking bumps in the corners, which are bits of surface that have been dug away by people breaking in rather than before the corners themselves. And after a lot more technical riding in the last 6 months, I've gotten used to letting the bike roll through rougher terrain without being worried about falling off. In most cases, unless you literally hit a tree, yeah, I know, the bike will make it through. All you need to do is hold on. It feels weird to think that I've been riding for a year now. Obviously, I rode a bike as a kid. We all did, but it was nothing like this. It's been one heck of an adventure, and it's one I'm going to be staying with as long as I'm able to. My goals have moved and improved, and I've become a fitter, more confident rider. I understand my bike more. I understand myself more. Seeing the change in only 1 year only spurs me to continue. I want to see where I can go next. Off topic from riding, one of the things that excited me most about this trip was the fact that I now have a Canon DSLR to go with my camera collection. That means I can make better videos, more interesting content for this mountain biking series. Before this, all I had was my GoPro and a phone. Which isn't bad at a pinch, but as with most things, I wanted to improve. I wanted to step my game up and make something better. I wanted to show people that you can try new things, that you can get into something and be scared, and that's okay. We're all beginners once, it's part of the cycle. You begin, then you're learning, and you're no longer a beginner. To me, being able to show you all that an average person could start something new and improve, learn and grow regardless of how much confidence you lack or how much it scares you, that's the goal in life. Find something you want to do and dive in.
Too much the apex. Oh, breaking run back.
This is Death Grip. Back in February, I couldn't ride this cleanly. I was stopping, putting a foot down. It was messy. The trail is full of roots and rocks, dips and drops, and gnarly features that make it really tricky to ride unless you have confidence. The roots try and turn the bike or stop it if you don't carry momentum, and some of the descents are steep and kind of intimidating. 6 months makes a huge difference. Back then, I had no hope. This time, I cleaned it.
That was faster.
The second part of Death Grip is a little less rooty, but it contained far more rock gardens and descents, the last of which I was honestly unable to do in February, but this time I didn't pause. Why not? I've ridden similar descents and staircases since then, and once your mind adjusts to what angle the bike can ride, you come to a new feature and you realise it's possible. The trick to riding is to flow, and the more you flow, the easier it is. Stopping or slowing down actually makes crashing more likely. And that's all part of getting yourself mentally on a roll with confidence, and that's one of the biggest parts of riding. When you're new, your confidence is fragile, and it's easy to break, but the more you ride, the more you build up and the easier it is to hold on to it. You fall or fail, and you get back on the bike. You want to continue till you clean that feature. What is cleaning a feature? To clean something is to ride over or through an obstacle without stopping. And once you've done that, you've got flow. Easy Rider is another one of the blue trails, but rather than leading down to the pickup, it drops you over on the far side of the park towards the red and black trails. I'm still not as fast as Jim, but I'm starting to get faster. I did have an advantage this time though, he was still recovering from a recent injury, but even with that, he's been riding for years, so he has a huge advantage in confidence and technique. Riding with someone can be a great way to learn, but sometimes it can be a frustrating barrier. You see their level and their talent, and you wonder why you can't keep up or stay with them. But that's natural. Experience counts a lot in mountain biking, as does fitness. He's more willing to go fast on the trail, knowing what he and his bike are capable of. I'm not quite there, but I might get there someday. This was my third trip to the Gap, and it certainly won't be my last. So far it's proven to be a wonderful gauge of my progress in riding, my beginning, my very first time riding a mountain bike on trails, the 6-month mark in February, and this time, 1 year of my journey. It's been quite a journey so far, and it's one that I've thoroughly enjoyed. Mountain biking has become a staple part of my life now. It's part of who I am. And I have to say, last year, even after enjoying my trip to the Gap, I still wasn't sold. After returning, we attended the National Cycle Show, and while it was fun, and I got to test a lot of bikes, I really wasn't into mountain biking yet. I didn't understand what all the parts were. It all made some sense, but was still quite alien. This year, we've had tickets since they came on sale. I'm super stoked to go, and don't worry, I'll be taking the cameras along for the ride. Now, the smallest part of my bike makes sense. I can tell the difference in tyres, suspension settings. My bike is a treasured part of my life, and it's my escape from the day-to-day where I can roam free and get a huge buzz. Heck, I've even started wearing flannel shirts and bike brand clothing in day-to-day life. Yeah, the corruption has become total. Remember I talked about confidence? Well, one of the trails that's always scared me the most at the Gap has been Sacred Stone. Flowing down through a dusty logging area, this trail's a long sequence of drops and high-speed sections. I'm pretty timid with drops. I tend to overthink them. I've ridden the trail before, quite a few times, but I've gained experience with drops since, so I decided to take it faster. Perhaps it wasn't my day, and perhaps something happened with the bike. I'm not sure, but I think I can put it on me. I made a mistake. I got one wrong. There were two drops within a short distance of each other, and I had the bad luck of landing nose heavy on the first. The front wheel went sideways, and I went over the bars, and subsequently over the second drop. I landed on my head, and then my shoulder before rolling to a stop. The bike flipped and landed behind me. The drops weren't huge. In fact, they were embarrassingly small, maybe a foot at most. But with the speed I was carrying, it ended up being pretty painful. It resulted in a lot of bruises and a few sprains. The bike, however, fared worse. Afterwards, I found out I'd twisted the handlebars, bent the rear brake, bent the rear derailleur hanger, snapped one spoke and bent and loosened 3 or 4 more, and the rear wheel had been knocked out of true. Injuries heal, and bikes can be fixed. In fact, it subsequently has. What took a bigger hit was my confidence, and while I've crashed before, this hurt the most. Probably the worst I've actually had to date, and I've never crashed hard enough to damage the bike. Even with the crash, I loved my time back in Dublin. The Gap is one of my favourite places to ride downhill. For me, it's a combination of the staff, the facilities and the trails. It's perfect. Did this crash knock my confidence? Sure it did. But will I get it back? Absolutely. I've been doing this a year. I'm still blown away by how far I've come. Where will I be next year? I have no idea. Probably up in the air somewhere based on current progress. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
Like a Hellcat.